Dolphins fans, right now feels like the perfect moment for Miami. This season has been a roller coaster, full of ups and downs. But Sunday's win over the Bills, the first since September 2022, gives us a real reason to celebrate. And the injury news? For once, it's actually great. Several key players are expected to return to the roster this week, giving the Dolphins a much-needed boost. Head coach Mike McDaniel shared updates in Monday's press conference, and the biggest headline is Chop Robinson. He suffered a scary concussion on Thursday Night Football against the Ravens and missed the game against Buffalo, but McDaniel confirmed Chop should be cleared to play in Sunday's Dolphins-Commanders matchup in Madrid. Getting Chop back is huge. As a rookie, he was one of the league's top 5 pass rushers from weeks 8 to 18 last year, but his sophomore season has been frustrating. He's only played about 35 to 36% of the snaps so far, while Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb have been taking 67% of them. Now, there's a shakeup. Jalen Phillips has been traded to the Eagles, and Chubb had a strong debut with the Dolphins last week. That opens the door for Chop to step up, likely taking 67% of the snaps moving forward. It's about time this young talent gets unleashed. He has the potential to terrorize quarterbacks like he did at the end of last season. Dolphins fans, if you love seeing your team dominate, this is the moment to get hyped. And hey, while we're talking about getting hyped, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. But that's not all. There's another piece of injury news that could be even more impactful. McDaniel was asked about Austin Jackson and James Daniels returning to practice, and unlike previous weeks, he hinted there's a real chance one of them could be back soon. This would be a game-changer for Miami. Cole Strange and Larry Borom have done a solid job filling in since week 4. But let's be real, they aren't at the level of Austin Jackson and James Daniels. Having these veterans return could instantly upgrade the offensive line and give the Dolphins the depth and protection they need to compete at the highest level. You hope that at least one of these players returns soon, because the right side of the Dolphins' offensive line desperately needs a boost. Both have had their ups and downs this season. Larry Borom has been better than expected. If you told me he'd have to play nearly the entire season, I'd say he's done solid work, despite some rough moments. But Cole Strange, he's the one who consistently struggles, especially in pass protection. That's why when McDaniel hinted that one of the two could return this week, my hope is James Daniels. If he comes back, he slots right back in at right guard, giving the Dolphins a major upgrade. Remember, Daniels suffered a pec injury in week 1 against the Colts, and Austin Jackson has been dealing with a toe and foot injury. Having Daniels back would immediately strengthen the line, even if he's a little rusty at first. Larry Borom would likely play even better with Daniels beside him, and it would solve some of the struggles Cole Strange has been having. Dolphins fans, if you had to pick one lineman returning from injured reserve, who would it be? James Daniels or Austin Jackson? Type JD for Daniels, AJ for Jackson. I'm firmly in the Daniels camp, and here's why. First, Daniels is simply better than Cole Strange, and if you had to remove someone from the starting 5 up front, Strange would be the choice. Second, he's a major investment, signed to a 3-year, $24 million deal this past spring as a top free agent addition. Despite an Achilles injury last year, he was excellent early in the season and fits Mike McDaniel's scheme perfectly. He's athletic, can get to the second level, and is exactly the type of interior lineman this offense needs. Bringing him back now gives him valuable game action, helping him gel with the system and set himself up for a strong 2026. Third, I'm ready to move on from Austin Jackson. He only has 1 year left on his deal, and while releasing or trading him won't save much cap space, it may be time to look elsewhere. If the Dolphins end up with a top 10 draft pick, I'd push for one of the top offensive line prospects. Spencer Rattler from Utah, Caden Proctor from Alabama, or Francis Mauigoa from Miami. Any of these rookies paired with Terron Armstead would give Miami a rock-solid offensive line for years to come, finally giving Dolphins fans the trenches dominance they've been craving. As for Austin Jackson, I'm moving on this offseason, or at least planning to find his replacement. The right tackle position has been a long-term concern for Miami, and it's time to start planning for the future. On the injury front, there's more positive news for the Dolphins. Head coach Mike McDaniel is optimistic about the return of 4 players who missed last week's game. Destrich with a shoulder injury, Ashton Davis with a quad injury, tight end Julian Hill, sidelined with an ankle issue for 3 straight games, and cornerback Ruel Douglas. Julian Hill returning will solidify the tight end room alongside Greg Dulcich and Hayden Hurst. Dulcich and Hurst both played well against Buffalo, and Hill's return will only add depth and versatility. Ashton Davis may not make a huge immediate impact, though. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Dante Trader Jr. have been performing at a high level recently, and Davis won't likely reduce their playing time. The most intriguing return is Ruel Douglas. Miami's secondary had arguably its best game of the season against the Bills, and that was without him. The Bills' receiving core may not be the strongest, but the Dolphins' corners still executed at a high level. Jack Jones played one of his best games of the season, and Juju Brent, a former second-round pick claimed during roster cutdown, stepped up beautifully. Brent clamped Keon Coleman and Colton Kincaid when matched up, showing poise and skill beyond his experience level. So now the Dolphins face an interesting puzzle. How do you balance playing time among Douglas, Jones, and Brent? You don't want to disrupt the chemistry that allowed the secondary to thrive, but at the same time, all three are talented and deserve snaps. Finding the right rotation in the nickel and slot positions will be key, especially after losses like Cornell Armstrong and Jason Marshall Jr. This is the kind of strategic chess match that could define Miami's defensive success down the stretch. Getting healthy at the right time could make the Dolphins' secondary a serious weapon as the season moves forward. Since moving Minkah Fitzpatrick from safety into the slot, the Dolphins' defense has transformed. I wouldn't call it elite just yet, but after a rough start to the season, it's now hovering around average, ranked 16th or 17th over the last 4 weeks. And while Fitzpatrick isn't the only reason for the improvement, he's been a key factor in this uptick. You simply can't overlook the impact he's had. Now, the cornerback situation is a good problem to have. Ruel Douglas has been elite, Jack Jones is trending upward, and Juju Brent has flashed some serious talent. That's 3 players deserving snaps, and it creates a tough decision for the Dolphins coaching staff. Who sits? Who plays? It's the kind of depth most teams wish they had. Shifting gears to the run defense. Wow, what a statement against Buffalo this past week. The young defensive line is growing stronger each week. Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips were phenomenal, dominating the interior along with Zach Sealer and Benito Jones. They held James Cook to just 40 rushing yards on 4.1 yards per carry, despite Cook coming in as one of the league's top 2 rushers in yards per carry. This is especially impressive when you consider Buffalo's offensive line is a top 5 unit in the NFL, 5th overall in offense, 4th in pass blocking, and 7th in run blocking. Yet the Dolphins' front 4 and linebackers completely stifled them. Bradley Chubb racked up 10 pressures against Josh Allen, and the interior line shut down one of the best rushing attacks in football. It's remarkable considering Miami's run defense started the year dead last. But over the past 3 weeks, they've been number 1 in EPA per play, even facing backs like Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, and James Cook. Jordan Brooks, Tyrell Dodson, Willie Gay, and KJ Britt have all stepped up as well. It hasn't been a perfect season for Miami, but the team is finally rounding into form. The defense is improving, the line is playing tough, and the Dolphins are starting to show flashes of the football we hoped to see at the start of the year. That's it for this edition of Dolphins Today. If you want more in-depth Miami coverage, we're here every day and live 3 times a week. Subscribe and join the channel. You won't want to miss a moment of Dolphins football.